Monster Hunter is a series that conceptually I should love. It's an action RPG with a hefty combat system where every resource, every last bit of health, stamina matter, and you have to think about every single action you take in combat. In that sense, it shares a lot of DNA with the Souls games where it's a constant mental battle of juggling all your resources in combat, so I should love it, but for whatever reason, I don't. And that's why I'm calling on the hardest of hardcore Monster Hunter fans to help me get into this series, because Wilds is right around the corner. It's going to be one of the biggest releases of next year, and I want to take the Christmas break as a time to properly explore this series to its fullest, both in its classic and modern iterations. If you don't know me, I love action RPGs and Souls-likes, and to me, Monster Hunter is a perfect blend of them. It has the serious consequences of dying, like losing money and precious resources, as well as the methodical combat where everything matters, where you have to watch your stamina, where you can't overcommit against this absolutely gigantic creature that will kill you in 3 hits. It also has the best of the action RPG genre, with repeatable missions where you farm for drops to upgrade your gear to become stronger and stronger to do even more difficult missions, and that is right up my alley. I have spent countless hours in so many different action RPGs grinding for that one better gun or that one better piece of gear that would improve my build and help me in this next boss fight or whatever. There's something to that loop that I find so compelling, and combine that with the combat that I laid out, I just don't understand why I could never get into this series. Over the years, I've tried to get into Monster Hunter so many different times. My first exposure to the series was ages ago when I bought Freedom Unite on the PSP when I was on holidays, because when I went on holidays, I was not interested in getting anything other than games. So I went into the local Walmart or GameStop in Orlando, and I saw a game called Monster Hunter, and I said, yeah, that's a game for me. Little did I know, 8 or 9-year-old Adam could not understand this game. Most fully grown people struggle with the old Monster Hunter because they are quite obtuse and they don't really hold your hand, but I guess that's just part of the series. I remember I did a handful of missions, and even fighting the smallest little dinosaur would absolutely destroy me. One guy could literally wipe me out 3 times and I would be dead. And I guess that hardcore nature is just at the roots of this series. So it is something that I'm just going to have to get used to. And then over the years, I got Tri-Ultimate on the Wii U. I played Generations 3 and 4, I believe, on the 3DS, couldn't get into them. I also tried out Monster Hunter World with my friend a good few years ago, and I bought Rise on the Switch. And again, with every single one of these games, I managed to play a couple of hours, and I just never went back to them. And I can't even pinpoint the exact reason why I stopped. There was just something blocking me from getting into this series, and this time I am genuinely determined to get into it. I also played Monster Hunter Stories on the 3DS and actually really enjoyed it. And when they released earlier on the year, I played through a lot of 1 and a bit of 2. And what I liked about this game is that it gave me a very accessible way into this series so that I could understand the inner workings, the potions, the different kinds of monsters, all that sort of stuff that I could get engrossed in. And I think it did increase my appreciation for this series. Now, over the past couple of weeks, I have actually downloaded a couple of Monster Hunter games. So for anybody that doesn't know, I have a retro channel, which you should go subscribe to, and I want to cover a retro or older Monster Hunter game before Wilds comes out. So I was doing some research, and it looks like Freedom Unite might be the best way. And yes, it has the old style of absolutely zero hand holding. The most basic enemy will absolutely destroy you. There's no lock on, there's no full camera movement, which makes the game just kind of feel a bit more claustrophobic and slow. But I've managed to put about 4 or 5 hours into it so far, and I think I now can appreciate the hardcore roots of the series. Because now that I'm going back and I'm playing a lot of older games, there is definitely an older hardcore nature to basically every single series. Games just didn't hold your hand as much, and there is something compelling about that. I like how I failed even the most basic quest of killing 15 Blangos. In Monster Hunter World, if that was a quest where you had to kill 15 of the normal enemies, it would be no problem because the game is just way smoother to control. But here, since everything is so much clunkier and you really have to watch every single piece of stamina, you have to bring enough whetstones, you have to bring enough potions. It's just insane how difficult this game is. I haven't even really fought any big enemies yet. I am gearing up for like my first big hunt, and I do like the preparation. I do like the fact that I am thinking about, oh, what is this enemy weak to? Or what armor will I bring? Or what sort of trap will I bring? Or I better make sure I stock up on all these potions. There is something cool to that. And I can see myself at least playing 10, 15 hours of this game just to get a feeling for it. And one thing that I've realized about every single other time I've tried to get into a Monster Hunter game is that I've always gone for the most crazy weapons like the bow or the bow gun, or even in Monster Hunter World I tried the insect glaive. And they are the weapons for the veterans. They're the weapons that you really, really need to understand everything about this game. And when I was a kid playing Freedom Unite, I probably went with a bow because, I mean, bows are cool. I've always liked bows. I've always preferred to be like a hunter-style character. And it's insane that I even tried that because imagine a 9-year-old kid trying to use a bow in Monster Hunter. So I have been using a longsword, which is way easier to grasp, and I actually feel like I'm getting a hang of my combos and all that sort of stuff. And one thing that I absolutely love, and now I finally realize because I am playing Freedom Unite and World side by side, is that it is so impressive that the core principles of Monster Hunter that was laid out on the PSP and PS2 are still there in Monster Hunter World. It's almost like a Mario 64 effect where you play Odyssey, you realize that a lot of the things that make Mario control so well were already implemented in Mario 64 in 1996. And it's super impressive that the foundations of the longsword combos that are in Monster Hunter World were established in Freedom Unite. So if you do have any tips for Freedom Unite, let me know in the comments down below because you can do all the backseat gaming that you want. Now on the Monster Hunter World, I've played about 8 hours of this game, and I'm definitely getting into it more than I did before. I've gotten further into the game than I have ever before. And again, I think just the simple switch of realizing I am not good enough to use the insect glaive yet. Just use the longsword, learn the relatively basic combos, and you will be okay. And then later on, I can go into the bow gun, or I can use the insect glaive, which is such a cool weapon. And the reason why I'm doing that is because over the past 2 years, I've actually kind of gotten into fighting games. Like I played Mortal Kombat 1, Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6, and I got into them more than I have ever done with a fighting game ever before. I think I've played 20 or 30 hours of each of the games, which is way more than I could say for any of the other games. And I heard somebody say that the weapons in Monster Hunter are essentially fighting characters. And you have the basic ones like the twin blades or the sword and shield or the longsword that are your Ryu and Ken or your Sub-Zero, one of them characters that is easy to understand. And once I heard that, I used my newfound knowledge of fighting games to realize that I can't use the insect glaive. I'm just going to be the Ryu or the Ken and just learn the basic principles of the game first, and then eventually I can branch out into the other more crazier weapons. And one thing about playing Freedom Unite and Monster Hunter World right beside each other is that the first 5 hours of Monster Hunter World feel like they almost lost the plot with what Monster Hunter was. I was sitting down there thinking, oh god, Monster Hunter used to be really hardcore, and the opening section of Monster Hunter World is nowhere near as hardcore. The basic enemies don't pose any threat essentially, whereas in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite a single dinosaur would kill me. So I was waiting around waiting for Monster Hunter World to get tough. And I even text my friend, I was like, oh, this game isn't that hard. And then I did the mission where you have to fight the T-Rex, and I don't know his name yet. I haven't learned the names of the creatures. And he was jumping in the air, he had wings, he was breathing fire, he was absolutely destroying me. I had 1 life left. He went up to the top of the tree, and I was like, oh yeah, finally got him. I finally got him. He's going to be nearly dead. And then a big feckin' dinosaur flew in and attacked him, knocked him off the tree. And then I was like, oh crap, he's not dead. But now I have this thing chasing me, and I was nearly dead. I had to run away. I sprint. I was hiding, and I was like, okay, this game actually is quite tough. It's like watching a nature documentary because the big giant flying dinosaur thing distracted me so that the T-Rex could go rest, and then he regained a bit of his health, which then made the fight even harder. And I just killed him. Like, I made it out by the skin of my teeth. I had 1 life left, and I was like, okay, this game is hardcore, and I'm hopefully going to stick with it. We'll see how it goes. Again, any suggestions in the comments down below, I really appreciate it, because I want to do a big video. I hope I can make a video in like early January of I finally understand Monster Hunter. That's what I'm hoping for. So any help in the comments down below is greatly appreciated. If you want more chill, laid back content, mostly on RPGs, then please subscribe and join the channel members down below if you really want it. All the support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. See you all on the next video.